What's up, family? Welcome back to the Russell Fugett Show. We're going to be pivoting as we head into September to the judgment call. And I just want to talk to everyone today about how you can be an expert. And we live in a very interesting time right now with artificial intelligence. And a lot of people, I think, particularly my age demo, I'm in my late 40s. I'm either the oldest millennial or the youngest Gen Xer. I'm right in that bridge gap space between 78 and 82. Real interesting time. Remember growing up with analog, didn't have an email before I went to college, came of age with the email, streaming, with Napster, social media. Well, yeah, internet, social media, and now artificial intelligence. Seeing so many things get disrupted, lived through the 2000, 2001 tech bubble, the 2008 housing crash, you name it. Been around to see it all, but now is a unique time where you can be an expert. And I've talked to a lot of business leaders who don't know what to make of AI, don't know what to do yet with it. And what I want to encourage everyone to do is to begin to experiment. I just posted something, I'll be posting it soon on Instagram. I'll probably throw it up on LinkedIn too. There's a study that was just conducted by KPMG, the consulting firm. Harvard Business Review published an article about this, and it talked about they did a study where they took a group of workers and put them through a test. And they created a rubric to score the test to see how they used AI, and they basically scored it based on the outcome of the work product. And there were three classes. There were basically people who were apprentices, and people who I think were in the middle tier. The name of the middle tier has escaped me at the moment. Maybe I can pull the article back up real quick and see. The middle tier was the delegators, right, which is good. And then the third group were amplifiers. Now, the apprentices were 24%. The delegators were 25%, and I'm leaving out some decimals. And the amplifiers were right at 50%. Of course, I'm hoping that you can be an amplifier. And for those of you who are in that Gen X or older millennial demographic, there's a real opportunity for you to be an amplifier. Why? Because you understand, hopefully by now, if you've been a professional, how to think, how to critically analyze a data set or an output, how to critically analyze an input, right? I said a data set, an input. Bad data in equals bad data out. And that's been the case for a long time. And that's going to particularly be the case with AI. And you've heard the stories, or maybe you haven't heard the stories of lawyers getting like thrown out of court or whatever because they submitted a legal brief that was rife with mistakes. And they just, clearly people have cut corners with AI. You have people who don't know what they're doing who are going to show up with AI answers, and they're going to get by, but eventually they're going to get burned. And so what you have that's so valuable and so unique is a set of experiences, yes, and also a set of skills that have been developed. And I'm going to argue that the skills you have developed will be unlike any skills that any human knowledge worker with the opportunities you've had will ever have again, because we didn't have AI. We had to write the paper by ourselves. We had to post a social media post and write it by ourselves. We had to research and pull the data together and create the spreadsheet ourselves. We had to create the presentation and stay up all night to do it and and then present it by ourselves and hope that when we clicked on the YouTube embed video that it would work. And I'm just speaking from my own experience, right? We've had to go through that. We've had to do that work. We've had to build those muscles. So I submit to you that we, in this demo, let's say you're 45 and up, have a unique opportunity. You got 2 decades of professional experience, and primarily you've been sitting at a desk or computer to do your work, right? And now we have this tool. So again, the amplifiers are really in a unique position because they understood how to navigate. So it wasn't just that they understood the fundamental foundational AI principles. but they understood how to actively orchestrate a workflow. They understood how to frame a problem. And I've talked about this in previous videos. You can go back and look. If you don't have an agreement on what the problem is, and if you don't have an agreement on the description of the problem, then you have a problem in your organization, right? If you can't have a shared language, a shared understanding, and that can take time and an intense level of communication. The AI cannot solve for that. So again, you having the experience of as a leader, if you're a leader in your organization, how do you drive that conversation forward? So you can even frame the problem in the right way, because it's not framed in the right way. You can give it to AI and they're going to give you an answer, but it's not going to solve the problem you needed to solve or help you solve the problem you need to solve. So again, this is where I talk about AI in the loop, not human in the loop, AI in your loop, AI in your framing of your problem, AI in the framing of what the output you need is going to be. Don't let AI define the output. You define the output. So we're going to put AI in our loop. I'm not putting myself in some AI loop. I'm putting AI in my loop if I choose to. And I'm going to define how they're in my loop. And we need more people talking about this. I have a book coming out on judgment and AI. I'm going to lean on this heavily. I had a great interview with an expert. Hoping to have him as a guest here soon, talking about this whole notion of AI, of a human in the loop. We're going to hand over everything to AI. No. AI is a tool, and how we use it will determine so much. And if we hand over everything to AI too soon, we hand over the wrong things and the wrong decisions and the wrong work packages with the wrong guardrails, the wrong governance structure, the wrong strategy, poorly framed problems, asking all the wrong questions, we're going to get all the wrong answers. And in some industries, this is going to be catastrophic. And it's going to happen. We're going to have to learn the hard way. I'm pretty convinced. And I just hope it's not me. I hope it doesn't harm the people you know. I hope it's something we can certainly recover from and learn from quickly enough to adjust before it's too late. But anyway, so the amplifiers were orchestrators. This is going back to the Harvard Business Review article. I'll link it down in the comments. So I'm quoting, they actively orchestrated the workflow and framed the problems in ways that guided AI toward relevant analysis. Going back to quoting, anchored work in appropriate domain frameworks and defined clear evaluation criteria. Again, as I said, are we defining the outcome? Or are we just letting AI just decide because it's going to sound good and perhaps be well sourced, right? It may pull a lot of data for us and show us some things. And of course, you can use AI and design fancy charts and presentations, right? It can look really good, right? You can put lipstick on that pig all you want. So going back to quote, they interrogated outputs, challenged assumptions, and iteratively refined results. So what did they do with AI? They fought back, they pushed back, they argued with the models. They used artificial intelligence as a thought partner. They didn't just accept what was given. Going back to quoting, and this is the last sentence I'll quote, at the same time, they used their understanding of AI to provide precise, task-specific guidance that enabled the system to produce deliverables that met real-world performance standards. Produce deliverables that met real-world performance standards. So if you let AI hallucinate, it could create its own standards. And maybe those standards will be yours, maybe they won't. Perhaps there'll be some overlap depending on what you've given the model and the technology and what you've asked the tool to do. But real world performance standards. So who's defining those standards? That's humans are defining the real world standards. So the amplifiers, the orchestrators, these are the people who can be an expert, because, and I use the term amplifier, I love that term, because they are going to have the opportunity, as I've said, those of you who have 2 decades or more in career work and knowledge work are going to, or even even if you're not a knowledge worker. And I'm going to talk more about that in another video too, because I've done some stuff with AI that I think there's going to be opportunity for people. And I've argued this on LinkedIn in a couple comments and posts that weren't mine. I dove in the comments with some thoughts, but there's some real opportunities that no one's talking about where I believe AI is going to impact the physical world. I'm not even talking about robotics per se, right? That's happening. That's coming faster than we think, by the way, another conversation for another day. But I think it's going to impact things in the physical world if we're able to do it. But again, if you're 2 decades in, you have the opportunity to be an expert. You can amplify the experience, the knowledge, and dare I say, the wisdom that you have, the skill set and the tool set that you have. You can amplify it to the point where you will be an expert. So yes, you need to know how to use the tool, right? Functionally, I know how to write a good prompt, perhaps, but don't let the tool use you. So what's the back and forth look like? What's the dialogue look like? Are you having a thoughtful conversation? And now a lot of these models have voice activation, and that can be, a little weird if you've never done it, but you can literally talk and have a conversation. And it'll have a transcript when you're done if you want to review it. I have my gas pedal, so I can step on my gas pedal and talk into the chat window and hit enter, and I do a lot of things that way. Sometimes I'll have it read it back to me, so I got to read everything, and maybe I'm writing notes or I'm doing something else with a shared split screen, right? But you can be an expert, and I'll even say to the young people, you can be an expert. I'm not going to overlook folks who might not have 2 decades professional life, but you can be an expert. You have lived experience, you have something you've learned, but you have to have the maturity to really work with the technology in a way that creates value. And what is that value? Really, and for most part, it's going to be some form of intellectual property, some idea, some concept. Maybe it's just a social media post. Maybe it's a design that you prompted the AI tool to create an image or a video or ebook or some other digital product, right? But you're going to be able to, or it just could be creating finishing an assignment on a job. But you being able to use the tool and being able to approach it with a maturity and a patience, not as a cheat code, not as a shortcut. Yeah, it's gonna be a shortcut in some ways. Yes, it's a little bit of a cheat code, but was it really a cheat code if everybody has access? And you might say, well, to have access costs money. Yes, you got to have electricity. Yes, you got to have internet. So we're going to assume those foundations. Then you're paying $20. And I don't know if I'm a little bit in the AI world echo chamber where people are freaking out. Oh, you're going to, if you use the latest model on Claude or Chat GPT, we run out of tokens and you explode your AI bill. And I just laugh. I'm like, okay, well, you paid the $20 or maybe you paid the $100 on the plus plan, right? But okay, so if you used it to go to $200, $300, you really that mad? If you're leveraging it to create a financial benefit for yourself or some other benefit, is it worth it? If you'd asked yourself 5 years ago, if I had a tool that could do this, this, and this, and do it this fast and give you this output, I'm going to talk about some of the things I've been able to accomplish with AI. I have some software portfolio things on my website, but I have things that are not digital that I have created leveraging artificial intelligence, quite literally laying in my bed at night on my phone. And I still need to vet some of the couple of the things. Well, one of the things I need to vet, another one's already been, I guess you could say accredited is the right term. I didn't do that one from my bed, but I did it in about a day. I'm really excited about that. So the possibilities are endless. The tools on your phone, the tools on the computer, but how you use the tool. I want you to be an amplifier, orchestrator of the tool, but then you also have to orchestrate yourself, your knowledge, and push back and define the output, right? Framing the real world output, like the article in Harvard Business Review said. Again, I'll drop that in the comments. And again, this is how you become an expert. We need critical thinkers. We need people to have judgment. We need people that are going to ask the right questions, and that people are going to check, and double check. Right? My father's an attorney. He always talks about you want to have on belts and suspenders, lest your pants fall down. And that's an old school analogy, but I'm sure most of you will get it. If you can't get it, perhaps use your imagination. Don't want to get caught with your pants down, right? So don't be that person. And I even talk to the people who are students. Don't be that. I'm working with my daughters this summer to not be that person. How do you use AI? To have a level of AI fluency, and how to use it in the proper way, so that pushes you to think. I haven't quite. I'm probably going to spend some time in the coming week. Khan Academy has the AI model. Khan Academy, I think it's free. You might have to pay for, I think it's Khan Mingo. And their AI, apparent learning AI, and I think there's a couple others I've heard about. I've been looking at this area as well. I'm on the board of a school that's leading the way in terms of having an AI policy as a K through 12 independent school. Most schools don't even have an AI policy. We've had one for I think 2 years now, at least a year, if not two. But how the AI will not give you the answers. It's designed not to give the answers. It'll just push back. So there's ways you can perhaps train yourself to use the tool in a way where you don't just relax, but you engage it in a way that gets the best outcome. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be judged on that outcome. I don't want you to be judged incorrectly. I want you to be judged and seen as an expert because you're an amplifier, because your 2 decades of experience or 2 years of experience, whatever unique experience you may have, has been amplified to the level of excellence. Expert excellence. You see that there? So I'm Russell Fugett. You can learn more about what I'm doing with AI at fugettlabs.com. You can learn more about me more broadly at russellfugett.com. You can follow me anywhere at Russell Fugett across social media. If you would like to be a guest on this show, I'm going to start having guests in the coming weeks. Actually, we're already in August, so looking to start having guests come in September. You can just hit me up at any of those places. DM me, message me on LinkedIn, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and LinkedIn are probably the best ways to hit me. Leave a comment if you need to. I'll see it. I'm going to have a new email box probably set up really soon. So this is the Judgment Call. I'm Russell Fugett. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will see you next time. You can be an expert. You are an expert. Go impact the world. Meet a critical need. Be the change we need to see. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. God bless.